Subscribe now so you never miss a story. Drop your thoughts or reflections in the comments. It all began on a crisp October afternoon in a quiet little town just outside Portland, Oregon. Autumn had drenched the trees in vivid shades of amber and crimson, and the air carried a subtle scent of pine and wood smoke. It was the kind of day where time seemed to slow down, giving space to breathe and reflect. But I didn't have the luxury to reflect much. I was elbow-deep in boxes, helping my best friend, Jason Carter, move into his new apartment. Jason and I had been friends since high school. He was the kind of guy who could crack a joke even when the world felt like it was falling apart, smart, kind, but incredibly stubborn. He'd just landed a job at a tech firm in Portland, and I'd offered to help him settle in. He accepted, but only on one condition. I had to help him assemble a notoriously difficult vintage wardrobe he'd bought online. It had arrived in 5 enormous, heavy boxes. With carved wooden panels and ornate brass handles, it looked like it belonged in a Victorian castle, not in a one-bedroom apartment with peeling paint and creaky floorboards. Jason stood hovering over the largest panel, eyeing the narrow hallway that led to the bedroom. "There's no way this is going to fit through there," he muttered, squinting like he was trying to hold the space wider. I smirked and tucked a few loose strands of hair behind my ear. "Just go slow," I said, teasing gently. "We'll make it work," he laughed, though there was uncertainty in his eyes. "I don't know, Amanda. We're either going to destroy the walls or break this thing. Or both." "Trust me," I said. "I've done this before." He mumbled something under his breath, but together we lifted the panel, maneuvering it with the utmost care. The piece was massive, easily over 7 feet tall, with awkward angles and delicate trim that looked like it would snap if bumped the wrong way. Slowly, inch by inch, we guided it through the hallway. The wood creaked under its own weight. I could sense Jason's frustration rising. "You okay?" I asked. "I'm fine," he replied through gritted teeth. "But I still don't think this is going to work." "It will," I said calmly. "You just have to be patient." Something about those words, so soft and simple, seemed to settle the room. There was tension, yes, but also something familiar. The kind of unspoken understanding that comes from years of friendship. We moved in sync, communicating without words. Our hands brushed now and then, and each time they did, it felt like a jolt of electricity passed between us, though neither of us acknowledged it. Finally, with a gentle push and a bit of force, the panel slid through the doorway. We both let out a breath at the same time, sharing a look of quiet triumph. Jason's eyes lit up in the dim afternoon sun streaming through the bedroom window. "I can't believe we pulled that off," he said. I shrugged with a smile. "Told you. Just go slow." Something shifted in that moment. A layer peeled back. Something deeper than friendship hung unspoken between us. But we ignored it. Or pretended to. Over the next few hours, we assembled the wardrobe. Screws disappeared. One panel fell and nearly crushed Jason's foot. We argued over the poorly translated instructions. Yet somehow, we kept laughing. When we finally stepped back and looked at the finished piece, it felt like more than furniture. It was a symbol of teamwork, persistence, and something deeper we hadn't named yet. "Want a drink?" Jason asked, wiping the sweat from his brow. "God, yes," I said, collapsing onto the worn-out couch. He handed me a beer and sat beside me, close enough for our shoulders to touch. We sat in silence for a while, the kind of silence that's full and comfortable. "You know," he started, "I couldn't have done any of this without you." I glanced at him. "Sure you could. You're just too stubborn to read instructions." He laughed. "No, seriously. You always show up for me. Always have." Something fluttered in my chest, a strange feeling I hadn't had in years. A skip. "I always will," I said softly. His eyes found mine and didn't let go. The air between us buzzed with a new tension, not uncomfortable, but thick with truth. Jason slowly reached for my hand, tentative, like he wasn't sure if I'd pull away. I didn't. "Just go slow," I whispered. He smiled, an unfamiliar smile, one I hadn't seen on his face before. Vulnerable. hopeful. You sure? He asked. I nodded. Yeah, I'm sure. And in that quiet apartment, surrounded by half-unpacked boxes and the scent of fresh wood and beer, something shifted. There weren't fireworks or swelling music. No kiss. Just a look. But in that look, there was understanding. Later that night, as I got ready to leave, he walked me to the door. Neither of us wanted to say goodbye. Something permanent had changed. We both knew there was no going back to just friends. Before I stepped into the cold night air, he grabbed my hand again. I meant what I said, Amanda. About you always being there. I want to be that for you too. I squeezed his hand gently. Then start with breakfast tomorrow. And coffee. Lots of it. He laughed. It's a date. As I walked to my car, I turned back. He stood in the doorway, watching me. And I knew, just like fitting that oversized wardrobe through a hallway that seemed too small, some things in life do work out if you just take them slow. And sometimes, the hardest parts lead to the most beautiful beginnings.